Putting systems in place will get you off the hamster wheel, and it will get you off of it of just working way too hard. If you don't start to let go, you will burn out. Any frustration you have that comes to mind, it is coming from a lack of a system. Without systems in your business, you have no scalability. If you feel like you're working round the clock, you are working 24/7, it won't change unless you focus on putting systems into place in your business. Today, I'm going to be sharing 4 simple steps to creating systems in your business so the business can run effectively without you. Wouldn't it be nice to go on vacation and not bring your laptop? How would it feel to clock out and know the business is completely fine and making money without you? This is not a pipe dream. This is what we do all day, every day here at Well-Oiled Operations. So what I have found is that most business owners, they think that when they finally get this moment to catch their breath, that they're going to take time to finally put systems in place. So they just keep pushing it off and pushing it off and pushing it off because let's be real, you're never slowing down. The business, if it's doing well, is just going to get bigger and it moves faster and the numbers get bigger and the employees get bigger and the clients get bigger. So pushing it off is not going to help you. Putting systems in place will get you off the hamster wheel, and it will get you off of it of just working way too hard and working 24/7. Now, before I go into the 4 steps, I first want you to understand why most business owners don't systematize and they don't delegate more. Well, number 1, this is a big one. We work with hundreds and hundreds of clients here at Well-Oiled. We see it all the time. Number 1 always is fear of losing control. They worry about their team making mistakes. They worry about the team maybe ruining their reputation, right? And honestly, they believe they can do it better or they are the only one that knows how to, which it might be true because of lack of systems. So that's number 1. Number 2, sometimes it's just their personality. What makes us really good at being entrepreneurs, being the boss, right? Also makes us really bad at delegating. Our type A personality with our incredibly high standards, right, does not make it very easy on our team. We are impatient, right? We want it done yesterday. We want it done perfectly. So instead of delegating and waiting, we'll just do it right now. I'll just do it myself, right? I've seen people delegate and say, hey, the project's due Friday. And then on Thursday, the owner's taking it back. And I'm like, what's going on? She's like, well, they hadn't done it yet. I said, well, you told them they had to do it on Friday. So it's Thursday, right? It's crazy, but we do it. Number 3, you don't have the time to train others, so it just feels easier to keep on your plate. The training alone is paralyzing you from getting started. And then number 4, a lot of times there's a lack of trust in employees' skills. So we don't truly believe that they can do it, right? It's not that we just have this, we're taking ownership and we want to just control. We actually think they aren't capable of doing X, Y, Z, okay? Maybe we even know we hired the wrong person, so we just keep it on our plate. Now, I would love to hear in the comments below, which one holds you back most often? Now, these are all great points, and I get it because I am you. And I've thought all of those before, right? But, and it's a big but, if you don't start to let go, you will burn out. It's a fact. Keeping everything on your plate is not sustainable. The good news is that systems are the answer to all 4 of those biggest fears you may have. Now, let's first stop and ask, what are systems and what does that even mean? So systems are just simply the step-by-step procedures for your daily operations. They're things like how we answer the phone, how we respond to email, how do we deal with an unhappy client that wants a refund, a return, etc. Maybe maintenance of your physical location if you have one, project completion expectations, communication, recording expenses, maintaining your client forms, waivers, files, info, etc. Okay? So we have systems here in Well-Oiled for every role in our company. If somebody goes on vacation for a week, which my employees get vacation time, we just pass those systems on to somebody else while they're out. Or if somebody unexpectedly quits, Think how easy it is for me to hire a new person and say, here are all the systems it requires for you to do your job, right? So we say we like to be process reliant, not people reliant. If you don't have systems, you have no other choice but to be people reliant. That is a risky business to have. Why? Because we can't control if somebody quits, if all of a sudden something changes in their personal life and they're just not doing certain things you need, or you've got to fire them, let them go. We had somebody who had her appendix burst. We found out after she was already at the hospital, and her husband's like, yeah, this is very serious. She's going to be gone for minimum 2 weeks. We had no warning. Thankfully, we weren't reliant on her. We were reliant on her systems, which she had. And we were able, think about this. Not only was she able to not enjoy, but I don't think she enjoyed being in the hospital, but she had a lot less stress knowing somebody could take over her job, and she was totally fine. And she was able to rest and recover and heal. We were the same way, right? So it helps both people involved. So we have systems for training, managing, marketing, operations, right? Of course, we have systems for tasks we repeat over and over again, daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually, right? Any of those tasks. Now, I know sometimes people will say, if I have this person make all of her systems pretty and done up, she's going to think she's getting fired. Well, yes, if you don't tell her why you're actually doing it. If you say, hey, listen, I want you to go on vacation and actually enjoy it and know we've got it covered. I want you to know that if you're sick, you don't have to come back to work that day and just work through it. We'll get it covered. Those systems are your protection. My team is all systematized. They don't feel like they're getting fired, okay? So they just feel like we're organized. I want them to have that feeling with you as well. Now, it might feel like a lot, and I get it. The big question our clients typically ask is, where do I start? And this is where I want to talk about 4 simple steps to creating systems in your business. So number 1, this is the biggest one you need to hear, is identify the frustration. Any frustration you have that comes to mind, it is coming from a lack of a system. Maybe nobody to perform that system but you, or maybe somebody not following a system. So think about the last time you were upset, angry, right? Something frustrated happened in your business. Let's go back to, was there a system? Did somebody just not follow it? Or was it non-existent, right? Or it was like, wow, we don't have an actually clear written system. It's very easy to see where this frustration comes from. But it can also be very overwhelming to start to systematize, because it feels like, oh my goodness, systematizing my entire business, I don't have time to do that, right? So most business owners freeze and they give up. We see this all the time. They start and then they stop. So I suggest starting with your biggest frustration, or the area you know you're losing the most amount of money, which is obviously very frustrating, right? So I always tell people, imagine your roof has holes all over the place. We are not going to fix the entire roof right this second, okay? You are going to go to the biggest leak, and you are going to immediately go up there and kind of close that gap. When all of a sudden the biggest area that's leaking stops leaking, right? It's like, a little relief, right? So then you go to the next biggest one, and we just keep plugging those next big holes, okay? This is going to help you feel relief, not feel like you have to do everything at once, okay? Now, if you're really stuck on where to get started, I do have another video you can watch called 5 Systems That Every Business Needs. That might help inspire, spark some ideas of where do I get started. All right. Now, once you've identified your biggest frustration, we head to, hey, are you a business owner that's looking to not just increase their revenue, but actually have it positively impact your profit without you working more? Because let's be honest, there isn't any more time in the day. If so, I want to invite you to my free training called Protect Your Profit. I'm going to be breaking down our 3-part well-oiled operations framework. We're going to be going over the plan, the people, and the process. This training is completely free. We've already had over 100,000 small business owners join us. as this is one of our most popular trainings in You're in Luck because we've got another one coming up very soon and it will be live. The strategy I'll share in this training is how we landed on the Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies in America list the last 2 years in a row. And I'll show you how to create a winning team of revenue generators, people that actually make you money, not cost you money, even if you don't think you can afford it. Go to welloiledclass.com and get registered for free. You'll walk away from this session with strategies you can actually implement and apply immediately, as well as I'll be gifting my 16-page hiring handbook, how to recruit, hire, and train top-tier talent. So come hang out with me and a few other 100 small business owners who are all looking to scale their business while scaling back their time. So get signed up for free at welloiledclass.com or click the link in the show notes, and I will see you there. Number 2, which is documenting the processes. Okay, but Stacy, there is no process. That's why I need to do this. Okay, now I know that might feel true. It might feel like you really don't have a process and that's why you're here, but you actually do have a process. It's just in your head. So that's the one thing is we have to understand that when it's in our head and we don't have it written down, we don't have a checklist, but it's in our head, it's based off of our memory. So that means we are inconsistently, most likely, performing that job. You're not doing it always the same way every time, which also means it is prone to human error because we can just forget something. Quick story. I was with a friend who is a pilot and has his own private plane. And I am so ADHD and just chatty and asking all these questions and getting distracted as he's like setting up the airplane. Now that probably wasn't smart because I want to make sure we don't crash. And I was distracting the guy doing all of the safety tests while we were doing it. Okay. So all of a sudden we go to fly and he goes, ugh, I just did the most newbie rookie move ever. I forgot to do X. And now I have to do the whole thing over. I'm so sorry. Can we not talk for like 2 minutes because I want to make sure this is right? And he had the checklist. Now I actually said like, he said something like he was a Navy pilot with something. And I think he's like a test pilot. And I said something like, oh, Top Gun or something. And he was so offended. He's like, I am higher up than Top Gun. My point is, this guy is at the highest level possible for flying. He is still using a checklist. He is making sure that nothing goes wrong. This guy probably doesn't need to do that checklist. He's going to remember, right? He remembered before we flew up in the air, shoot, I didn't hit that button, right? This is why a checklist is so important. So you're going to either have these ideas in your head from right now, it's already starting, but you're also, once you start doing the checklist, it's going to pop in your head and you're going to think you don't need the checklist anymore. That is when it gets dangerous. That is when you forget something and then the email goes out and the wrong link's in there, or we forgot to do this on social and that's broken over here and it's a problem, okay? So what we want to do is we want to really figure out, well, what have I been doing and how do I get it out of here onto paper, okay? So the question is, who should document this process? So in my business, the person that does the process documents the process. I am not doing all of the systems, which I think a lot of business owners try to do, which is why they freeze because they don't have time to do this, right? So with that said, you have the team member created. Now, I will advise you to proof the system and confirm it's up to your standards. The worst thing you can do is give this 20-year-old, something that they need to do and you haven't proofed it and they do it now for the next 6 months or 12 months. And then you figure out it's a horrible system. Okay. Have them create it. You or the manager that they report to directly review it and approve it. Okay. So what you want to have happen is 4 years from now, 6 years from now, you go check out that system and they're doing it the exact same way. Right. So with that said, we usually have a rule of each system is approved by that team member's manager. Okay. Now, of course, there are some things you do. You will do your systems, right? So before I created this YouTube video, I had a checklist of all the things that a great YouTube video has. And I wrote it up, I scripted it. And then after that, I was like, okay, do I have this in here? Do I have that in here? Oh, shoot, I forgot to put that in here. Okay, I go do it, right? That is a system I made and that I personally use. Okay. Where should you document this information? So I actually like videos transcribed into step-by-step to-dos. Videos will have the least likely to have errors in it. Because why? Because if I'm recording myself and I've got my mouse and I'm clicking buttons, I can't skip steps. It's very easy to write down, go to this website, click over here. But for some reason, you forgot that wasn't on the homepage. You clicked that and then this. So this is where you have to be really careful. I like using softwares like Loom or Zoom to record. And then we save those videos just in like Google Drive, nothing crazy. And we link them into what we call department playbooks inside of our Google Drive. So we have a marketing manager playbook. We have a social media manager playbook. We have an executive assistant playbook, right? So those people, those roles have their own playbook. You can click buttons and it takes you to the video of how to do that, right? You don't need to be fancy. My business is producing millions of dollars per year, and we're using inexpensive tools like Google, and it works, okay? Number 3, this is the big one that most people don't do, and this is where they usually mess it up. So pay attention. Perform a stress test. So after the systems are documented, we want to make sure they're actually good, legit, they work, they're efficient, effective, etc. Okay, they make sense to anybody. Because remember, the system isn't necessarily just for the person who does it. It's for the person who is next in that role, the person who has to jump in when they're sick, on vacation, etc. So we do a stress test by having somebody other than that person who created it test the system. I do a lot of live trainings for my community. And we recently updated that system and we had somebody stress test it. It was about 90% right. There was one error that they didn't get documented right. And we blamed it on what we call the curse of knowledge. It was like, oh, right. If you don't do this role, you wouldn't know that. You wouldn't think to do this. So it wasn't documented. So it's very easy to get missed. I will tell you, a lot of times systems are inaccurate because of the curse of knowledge. Stress testing with somebody new, they don't have the curse of knowledge. They don't know how to do this. So they're going to be like, where did you find that? Why am I not seeing that? And all of a sudden your systems are going to be a lot more effective. So with that said, a big mistake that most businesses do is they create the system because somebody is going out of town next week. So they need them to take over those tasks. Sounds pretty good, right? The problem is when that person is missing, we have to wait until they're back or we have to interrupt their vacation. So you don't do the stress test when both people or when that person's gone. You do the stress test when both people are here and working. So when I had that error happen and they knew it was an error, right? Or I think the person was maybe like double checking as the system was going along. They were like, shoot, she did it wrong, but I didn't document it right. Okay. So it was really easy and no big deal. So we fixed the system. We stress test again because we technically have never stress tested the way that he had documented it today. So she had to do it again. Guess what? Still a tiny error. Curse of knowledge, right? Like it's real. So if you're leaving things off the document, you don't understand. And until a newbie, right? Newbie as in somebody who doesn't normally do it, it's like, where is this coming from, right? So this is why we want to make sure that they're there. Now we did it a third time. She finally got it right, which meant the system was right and all was good. So this is why we recommend videos and not just written systems. If it were a video, they wouldn't have been able to skip a few steps. So be careful. And then number 4, our last one, refine and improve. Now I know I just said earlier, and I almost caught myself, you want the system to be this way 4 years or 6 years later. Well, I mean, if it's a solid system and if it's effective and efficient, but not if it's, outdated or there's a new software out or why are we spending time on this, right? There are some systems that should look completely different. So we want to be consistent, but we don't want to do something the same way just because we've always done it this way, right? We want to be open to suggestions to make things more efficient. So we want to be reassessing and evaluating every year certain systems and asking yourself, where can we improve? Where does it feel excessive or slow or manual? Like what can we do? So I'll tell you this, many businesses have down times, maybe certain months that are just, not peak season. That is when you work on systems, right? So if you have a slow week, certain times of year, or a slow month, or a slow season, maybe like you're an ice cream shop and, winter is not the best time for ice cream. You're not going to pick systematizing in summer when your business is crazy. You're going to do that when you're a little more dead, right? So that's what I want you to think about is when is the perfect time to start to do this? Now, I am not saying that you are only going to systematize when your business is slow. I am saying fill the slow time with lots of systems, but you should still be systematizing throughout the year. Now, you want to make sure that the team knows that systems can change if we find a way to become more efficient, right? While still giving a great customer experience. Sometimes my team is like, hey, did you know we can do this? I'm like, the customers will hate that. Like, I know you like it. I know it saves us time. It saves us money. It's very inconvenient for them, right? So it has to be two-part. It has to help us and help our customers, okay? So make sure they know that if they ever change a system, it must be approved by their direct report. So you don't want somebody just going, oh, I found a better way. I'm going to update this. And then the manager doesn't know. So no one can change it without an approval from their direct report. Make sure that is a very well-known rule. Okay. This makes everybody feel more included. And trust me, when somebody changes a system because they figured out a better way to do it and gets it approved, man, that team member, they have a massive sense of ownership and contribution. Like, wow, she listened to my idea. She saw what I did and we overrode, like, right, this is the new system, okay? Remember that your way isn't the only way. This was really hard for me. I think I have really good ideas and I think my way is the best way very often. And sometimes I would see that they changed something, right? And I remember one time saying to my general manager, like, this is not how I set this up. And she said, listen, you haven't worked the front desk in, like, I think at the time it was like 7 years. They are here every single day, right? This system is way better for somebody who's here doing this XYZ versus you're not actually in this role. So you're not really seeing it, right? She had to like convince me, be open. They all love it. It's faster. It's effective. It's getting the same outcome you want, but no, it's not done your way. Ego hit, right? So don't feel like it has to be your way. Just look for the end result. Don't look for I think kind of the ego boost of, but I know better, okay? Don't go there. Now, if you're no longer involved in that process and other people are, right, and they're asking for a different way to do it, be open. Let them tell you why, okay? Now, here is a huge warning, Your underperformers will hate your new systems. Get ready. Why would that be? Well, because they've been getting away with doing whatever, whenever, however they want. And you're about to change that. They're going to feel like it's micromanaging. You are going to start to have resistance from some of these people. Now, just know this is very common. And unfortunately, I've worked with so many business owners, and there is not a way to save underperformers because they're happy being underperformers. So they're not going to like this. So when you start to systematize and put things into place, you are going to lose certain people that shouldn't be on your team anyway, okay? It's hard because she's been here 8 years and she's been here 4 years and you've allowed this behavior and now you're asking them to actually work and be productive and get it done by the end of the day. And they're like, yeah, I don't really want to do that, okay? So I'm just putting it out there. Now, the right people will thrive. They are going to be like, thank you for getting organized. Thank you for getting systematized. They're going to get excited. So you're going to see, like, you got all these people, you're going to start to see some rise and some start to fall. Okay. If you're getting value out of this video, hit the like button. It really helps with our channel and just the video in general and helps it perform better. And if you haven't hit subscribe yet and you are a business owner looking for more tips to streamline and scale your business, hit subscribe because every week you're going to be seeing value-based videos just like this. Okay. Why am I such a huge fan of systems? So number one, security. Keeping things running smoothly when unexpected events occur with you, with your family, with your team members' family, okay? You can't control emergencies. You can't control when somebody quits unexpectedly, right? We just had somebody who's been with us for over a decade. She gave a 30-day notice, which is, I'm so gracious or so grateful when they don't just be like, 2 weeks or I'm out today. But she wanted to start to take care of her father full time as his caregiver. How can you be mad at that, right? You can't. But she gave us a 30-day notice. And honestly, the transition was pretty smooth, replacing somebody who had been here over a decade. And I will tell you that that's not the norm. Usually when somebody's been here for a decade, the systems are in their head. They're too good for systems. They don't need systems. They're seasoned, they're experienced. So when you have to replace them, it's like, what do you do on a Monday? What do you do every week? What do I have to not? Right? It gets really, really hard. So you want to have these systems and turn them into playbooks based off of roles. Okay. So that's number one. The second thing is it frees up your time. Allow team members to take responsibility and uphold those company standards and those values without coming to you for questions. It also provides confidence, right? The more confidence that you give your team, the autonomy you give your team, the more they're going to feel fulfilled in this role. Managers have clear expectations and everybody feels valued, right? Let other people shine. Let other people lead. Again, our type A personality, we want to shine. We want to lead, right? This is just who we are. It's time to really start shining a light on other people in our organization. Okay, the last thing, consistency. It's going to improve your consistency and better quality experience. One person who's over-delivering in your company can actually do more harm than good. Let me give you an example. So we have office hours. We're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And all of a sudden we found out that somebody had been working round the clock. Whenever you messaged her at night on a Saturday, I'm not even kidding. She one time said Saturday at 2 a.m, she was up. She couldn't fall back asleep. So she was just like coaching somebody. What? Okay. Now, that's an over deliver. You're like, what's wrong with that? I love that she's doing that. Okay. What happens when this person's friend works with us and she gets a coach who only responds 9 to 5, Monday through Friday? You post Friday at 5:02 and you're getting a response Monday morning and she's irate because her friend is getting responses every evening and on the weekend. It actually hurts more than it helps. We've had to say to team members, I know you're trying to over deliver, but you're actually making everybody else look bad. You're actually putting new standards in the company. And I don't want anybody working on Saturday, Sunday when it's their off day. Like, I want to practice what we preach. We take breaks. So please do not help after 5 p.m. Do not help on the weekends. You also want to teach our clients, they need boundaries. They need to take a break. So be careful, because we've had people who think I'm over delivering, I'm helping. And it's like, no, actually we're getting complaints from other clients because we have inconsistent communication styles, right? So want to be careful. So don't allow people to say, oh, I don't mind. That was what people used to say. Oh, I don't mind. Yes, but unless everybody's going to take that on, we can't do it. Okay. So to recap what a good system includes. Number one, a desired outcome. Who owns the system? Number two, when the system should be done. What's the timing around this? Do you do this every week, right? Like what does this look like? Do I have to do this on a Monday morning, right? All of those things. So when the system should be done. Okay, the next, how often? What is the frequency? Is this a daily rhythm? Is this a weekly rhythm, a quarterly, etc.? Okay, now this is a big one most people miss. Why is this system important? I wish we could we can. Important across the screen, right? You need to make sure people know why we do this thing. Do you know how many times something's been missed and I go, okay, so because you didn't do this, now they couldn't do that. And then and it's this trickle effect. And they're like, if I would have known that, I would never have skipped that. And you're like, okay, but you're supposed to follow the system, so you shouldn't have skipped it. But literally, when they understand the why behind something, people step up in a different way. So you want to tell them, why do we do the system? And if that something that was skipped or they did it incorrectly, how would it impact the rest of the company? And all of a sudden, people up level the way they systematize. And then the last one, the how. the process. We've all talked about this already, right? The step-by-step instructions. How do I get this done? Now, what's crazy is most people write down systems and they write how. I just said who, when, how often, why is it important? 5 was how. So be very, very careful you're not skipping those steps. All right, friends, I hope you got massive value out of today's episode. My name is Stacy Tuschl, your guide to streamlining and scaling your business, and I will see you in the next video.